What up? This is your boy DJ EFN. You might know me as a drink champ, but first and foremost, I'm a proud father. I linked up with two of my other dad homies, Manny Digital and KGB, to start the Fatherhood podcast. Each week, we bring you insider hip-hop stories, parenting, and advice and therapy. The saying is true, it takes a village, and we humorously serve as each other's trusted counsel in figuring out how not to screw up being a good dad.
The Fatherhood Podcast. Beats, rhymes, and diapers.
Corrected. But yeah, yo, we back with another episode of the Fatherhoods.
Yeah.
All three of us co-hosts are here today, so we should clap it up for that one.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Your soundboard's not working anymore, man.
Nah, no, that's why I'm doing manual claps.
Right.
Yo, so today we've got some dope guests. The multi-talented brothers. They actually are brothers. MCs, producers, and of course, fathers. Welcome to the podcast, 80Empire.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, brother.
Here. Thank you for having us.
Yo, y'all are, you got some dope accolades. I didn't mention them, but I'd love for you, big yourselves up a little bit, because I know you've done a lot of work in the game and got some dope awards. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that before we get into the fatherhood thing?
Yeah, man. I mean, we've done everything from, like, obviously our first love is hip hop, for producing records for cats like Bone Crusher, Obi Trice. We got a record coming out, in fact, this year with CeeLo Green, Music Soul Child, and Bone Crusher, to then like co-producing the theme song to Real Housewives of Miami. So everything, man. Yeah.
Dope.
That's dope. Yo, so we like to start when we have guests, just understanding what the family dynamic is for you guys. So I know first and foremost, you guys are brothers, and then you both have your own like families and whatnot. So, I mean, Adrian, you want to start? Like, what's your breakdown? Like, how many kids? Are you still with the wife?
We actually live in a family compound. No, I'm just joking. No, no. I've been man. It's got 23 years. I think this summer, 23 years to the same girl. God bless her, man. She
Congratulations.
Puts up, nice. Thank you. And two daughters, man. Two Simone and Julia, 18-year-old and 16-year-old. And my oldest is in university first year doing sports management. My youngest is in 11th grade. So next year is 12th grade, last year of school. And yeah, man, 23 years, peaks and valleys. I think more peaks than valleys. And it's man, it's like a business. You got to do what you got to do to make it run.
Yeah. All right. How about you, Lucas?
My wife and I have been together for, I think, 27 years, but married. This year will be 20 years.
Wow.
20 years married. We have a 15-year-old daughter, Vanessa, and a 12-year-old son, Sebastian. And she's, I joke because, like, my wife is Chinese. We call ourselves the UN in this family because obviously our background is Italian. My wife's Chinese, Cambodian.
My wife's German, Trinidadian. So my daughters are Germadalians.
So I said it's my wife's toughness being like Cambodian. Like, it's that tough shit that like gets me through. I'm like, I'm the Italian emotional one. She's like, you crying again? You put on your favorite song. I said, I'm thinking of somebody. And she's like, oh, here we go.
He's listening to SWV. I get so weak in the knee.
So your kids are old enough to thoroughly understand at least, what you guys do and that you make music. And I'm always curious from your side, like, do they vibe with the music you make? Are they into music? What was that dynamic like?
Absolutely. I think they all love music. We've had them on records from when they were young, just up to last year. But it's the age that they are now. They're our biggest critics, which is good because, kids will tell the truth and they check and they're like, yo, Dad, I'm not feeling that. Or like, right. I like that. Like my oldest likes more melodies and like kind of anthemic choruses. And my youngest, she's listening to like Tupac and Nipsey Hussle and Fabulous and Big Pun. And so it's just also kind of funny seeing your kids and sing like, yo, like you're acting like I did at that age and what you're listening to. But they keep us on check and they don't love everything we do. And they let us know, definitely keep us in check.
I think they're at that age enough too where they really support us. Like there are cheerleaders too.
Yeah.
They're the ones now going, go to, being from Canada, like go to, like if we have to go to New York, LA or somewhere, outside of the country to do music stuff, they're the first one that are like excited for us to go because we were there. You know, I always tell the story. Adrian and I had a publishing deal with Universal. We've left that contract finally, thankfully, last year. But when we were just signed, you know, we were in our probably early 30s at the time. And we both, Adrian already had his 2 kids. I had Vanessa already. And, you know, we could have made that jump to LA, you know, with a little bit of the money they gave us, the advance money. But we chose to be fathers first. We said, we don't want our kids like, you know, you could go to LA, as we all know, being in music, you could go to LA and be 10 steps ahead in a year or be 10 steps behind.
Yeah.
Right. So we chose, I'm like, I don't want to say, oh, I worked with so-and-so, I produced this record but then my daughter doesn't know her dad. It's like, who is this stranger? You know, whereas now as they're in their, like for my kids, early teens, my son is on that border. Now they can appreciate the hustling and the sacrifices we made and now be our support system, which I think is at least I know I can look at my kids and they go, you've been a great dad so far. Like, thank you for everything. So
what a nice guy, my brother.
has
well,
music?
I'm sure you've heard those stories where,
Right.
you know, like, you know, what you do for success. And then like the kids are like not talking to their parent now because of it. And I was like, I don't want that. If it takes us longer to get to where we feel is success musically, so be it.
And was music always the sole career that was paying the bills for you guys?
Yeah.
We've always just been like into the arts and into music, man. Like shout out to our parents. You know, they passed torch down like that when we were kids. They just exposed us to music and we always wanted to do it. And it was always like hip hop. It was always, you know, growing up in Toronto, it's a multicultural city. So there was obviously our Italian background, but like, you know, music from the Caribbean, like anything from reggae, soca, calypso, salsa, merengue, bachata, then to all the hip hop, the R&B, the funk. And we just always wanted to do it, man. It's always been a thing.
Our parents took us to see Beat Street in the theaters.
Nice.
Wow.
And we were Kenny and Lee.
Yeah,
Double K.
I still cry when Raymond gets killed by
spit, man.
By spit. I still shed a few tears.
Lousy bastard spit.
Yeah.
Yo, it's funny, Lucas. You just shared something that I kind of woke to recently, and it's like that appreciation your kids now have for your grind and your hustle. So my oldest, she's 18. She's about to be a freshman in college next fall. And we're going through a bunch of stuff now to try to figure out how we're going to make college work, right? How are you going to afford balancing where she wants to go to school with what we can actually make happen, plus what the school is willing to give. So now it's kind of one of those conversations with her where it's like opening it all up to her and being like, yo, here's how we live, right? Yeah. Here's how income happens. Here's why you see me in the basement in my office here, like
100%.
Till the long, wee hours of the morning, because this is how I got to stack the deck in our favor, right?
100.
And it's not one of those like, yo, you're not gonna go there because we can't afford it. It's more just like, yo, understand, here are the different elements to make something like that happen.
Yeah, 100%.
And this awakening has occurred in her now, where she's like, oh, and I try not to do it on some like, yo, you got to be careful. We can't afford that, so don't do it. I'm not that kind of person. I'm more like, let's figure out how we're going to do it, not that we can't do it, right?
Absolutely.
And so when you said that, it just triggered that thought, because now it's dope, because now I can open all this stuff up and she understands it versus just confusing her with a bunch of shit. And to your same point, like that presence, choosing to be around at the potential sacrifice of, opportunities, it's been, and I think all three of us here on this program can attest to that. Like, we've made those choices because that is paramount for us.
100%.
Yeah.
But it's dope to see an example like you guys, because you have achieved a level of success that a lot of folks have not, right? And you've been able to it sounds like you've been able to make that balance happen. So like, can you name a couple of those major sacrifices you missed out on because you chose, hey, I got to do this for my kids?
Yeah, man. I think a couple of them are probably like some tours.
Yeah.
you know, touring, you know, working with certain people because, you know, when you do snapshots and when you go to places, like if you go to LA or you go to Miami, if you go to New York and you're only there for little Polaroid snapshots, there's only so much you can do. And you guys know, especially in hip hop, like it's all about, it's no different than like businessmen on the golf course cutting checks because they're all playing golf. In hip hop, it happens. Maybe you're in the VIP and everyone's drinking bottles.
You're in the studio.
Everyone's smoking, everyone's drinking. And it's just like, yo, that's when like the relationships are solidified. There's only so much shit you can do through a TV screen, through a phone screen, or through a thing.
An email.
And so those are things, I think there's been a couple of things, but then, you know, you sit back and like Lucas and I, we don't cry over spilt milk. We have no regrets because you know what? Whatever religion we believe in, I think there's always a higher power saying that wasn't for you, fellas. You might have thought or thunk it at the time that was it, but that really wasn't it. And I think the payoff we're seeing right now is with how close our kids are with us. They want to hang out with us. They're close with their grandparents. They want to be with us instead of like trying to, you know, fly the coop and trying to do all this other shit. So I think that's the payoff. You know, the success really is in the legacy of how your children, and we're already seeing, like, you want them to become all superstars. But if they're good people and we're raising good people, shit, man, that's success. That's legacy. That's success right there.
100%.
You guys think you always had that mentality though? Because, you know, that's a maturity thing that you evolve into at some point. And some of us get there earlier and some of us get there later. You know, I have boys that have had kids since we were teenagers, and it took them a while to gain that kind of maturity. I've had my kids at an older age, so I was already there maturity wise in terms of knowing that family came first. So did you always feel that way?
I think so. Like, I think, sure, when you're like in your 20s, yeah. But I think, I mean, we had our kids, like, our wives had the kids. We didn't do shit.
Oh, yeah.
You better correct yourself. Let's shout out the wives.
You better correct.
Hey, man. I got my son running around saying that he came from my bolitas. He thinks his sister came from his mom. And then I fucked him up. And he's like, but I came from daddy's bolitas.
Oh, shit, man.
No, but I think I think we were always.
You know what it is, guys? I think it's this, right? Like, even throughout, and we, you know, like you guys know, you've met so many incredible people. You're interviewing incredible people on a weekly and daily basis. We've been blessed to work with, you know, with some incredible people. But I think because of our upbringing and like it's funny, as you get older, as the great aunts died, like as our grandmother on our mom's side of the family, when our grandmother and all of her sisters started dying, the family, like the extended family, wasn't as close. And those older women who came from World War II, came from Italy with nothing but like lint in their pocket and just like hoping to come to Canada to make a better life because their life was destroyed from war, right? But like growing up with all those like aunts and uncles and seeing them around and seeing like the hard work, but also seeing the material things they had. And it's not about materialism, but we knew how hard they worked for that shit. And we have like older cousins who had bikes, who had cars, not because they were like, it's just because they worked their asses off. They were working 2-3 jobs, working in construction, you know, getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning. Our dad was doing the same, and they came from nothing. And so I think that's why
ingrained in us,
like family first. And like, yo, we had our moments, obviously, that, you know, we had to be put in check as teenagers from our parents, but all in all, we never strayed too far off the railroad because we had all these incredible, in this big extended Italian family. Like, there's so many people around that you're like, we can't disappoint because these people came here with shit all nothing, with pennies. And like, we can't fuck it up, man. We can't, like, our ancestors are going to come to haunt us for the rest of our life. So I think it was just kind of, this shit subconsciously was ingrained in us to say, yo, we can't be shitbags. Like, we can do this shit, but we also have to like you said earlier, like it's a juggling act. Juggling, you know?
Some people ask us, how do you juggle everything? We're like, it's lack of sleep.
We just say, shit.
What, you both had daughters first. Well, I know, Adrian, you have 2 girls.
Yeah.
How big and at what stage in life? So, I mean, you guys were what? You said in your early 30s, Lucas, when you, both of you, when you had
I was 30. Like when my wife's 1 year. Oh, she's gonna be mad if I say she's 1 year older than me. No, she's 10 years younger than me. But we had our kids in our early 30s, like 30, 31, 32. They're 2 years apart, and we just thought like, yo, now like we're like, we just like, yo, we got a house, we got a thing, like we can make this work,
So it wasn't, it was more planned than, like a surprise for both of you?
Yeah, like we were, yeah. For us, it was.
I mean, you're never ready, but we were ready.
Yeah.
We were all,
yeah.
And then the fact that it was a girl first, did that cause any kind of like shock in you, or did you expect there to be a boy first? How did that pan out?
What's funny? What's funny, fellas? Like I always kind of knew. I didn't, especially with our first one with Simone. My wife and I love that name Simone because it's like a French name. My wife grew up in Montreal. We love Nina Simone. Like we love French culture too. So it's just like, I don't know, man, Simone. You can say it in French, Simone. But and then with Julia, it's funny. Like we didn't really come up with many boy names. We just kind of figured. I don't know why. I thought
was another girl.
We're gonna have two girls. I don't know. At the end of the day, we just wanted. And I think you can. We wanted like 10 fingers, 10 toes. That's it, man. Like it's just you want healthy kids. Cause shit, health is wealth. You guys know that, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie though. Having the $1 million family, like a boy and a girl, for me was like, because I'm like a nerd for like Star Wars and zombie like horror films, and my son is like identical. Like last night we watched Last of Us to see episode 2, and he already played the games, so he's telling me what's happening. I'm like, but don't spoil it, man. He goes, yeah, but in the game, Dad, it was different. In the game, he was with Tommy, his brother here. Not with, and I'm like, all right, like, can I just watch the first 11 minutes? So, but he's at that stage where we can watch. Like this morning before school, I'm like, yo, Sebastian, Predator Badlands trailer came out. Quick, before the bus comes, let's watch. You know what I mean? Yeah. So but my daughter too, she's like, oh, it's raining today. I want to sit and just watch a real comfort movie. I'm like,
comfort movie.
I'm like, but my wife likes horror, so it's like they're our mini me's.
It's a family affair.
Are you guys? So your kids are in this age range now where the threat of fucked up shit like drugs and sex and things going off the rails. Like, how are you guys dealing with that? What's the kind of worry level? And not to mention just being in the music biz, like, do they sniff out like, oh, this is going on over here? Like,
I think one of the reasons why we moved to Niagara on the Lake, because where we were like we say Toronto, we were about 25 minutes down from downtown.
They called the GTA, like
it was
Greater Toronto area.
For New York, where we live, would be the equivalent of like living in Staten Island, and taking a ferry, boom, and you're in Manhattan or whatever, like where we live. But like we were already kind of seeing that, even though my kids were like third grade and first grade or kindergarten when we moved here. But like we were seeing the type of kids and the parents, who, by the way, when I say type of kids or type of parents, all Italian, because we grew up in an Italian. So, and we're just like, and we grew up in that kind of that environment. And we're like, the kids, when we grew up, like we were tough. We knew how to take care of ourselves, but we're like, kids are only getting tougher. And it's just like, I don't know if we want kids growing up in that kind of like already where like kids in grade 2 and they're checking you out what tracksuit or what shoes you have, and then so moving here, it's not like we live here and so to cut you out, I got rid of all my velour tracksuits. There you go. They forget about it. Thank you. Oh, forget about it. No, but we moved here and it's not like where we live is you're untouchable from crime, you're untouchable from drug and drinking and kids getting into shit and bullying. But honestly, it is like from what we've seen compared to where we live, there was a lot more shit going on. And I think that's one of the reasons why we moved here. But we've had those uncomfortable conversations with our kids when they were younger. A lot of parents don't want to do it, but we're like, you have to have that uncomfortable convos, because then your kids know that they can come and talk to you. But if you're an ostrich and you pretend like shit is all good and no, and that's why our kids, like they can come and talk, like, and then plus they see us with our parents because we're very close with our parents. Our mom her name is Patrizia, but we call her Gangster P. Our dad's name was Julio, but every time we're down in Miami, he tells people, I'm Julio. but we call him Papa J, or we call him Jabu from that movie. Remember Cherano, it was a baseball movie, and Cherano was like some god, some Santaria.
Major League.
Major League. So remember, like Cherano. So we call Jabu. Yeah. So our dad's Jabu, our mom's Gangsta P. But they see how we joke with our parents, and we call, yo, what up, Gangsta P? What up, Jabu? And so, you know what? Because that's being replicated with them now with us.
We have open conversations about drugs, about everything, about what's going on politically. I think they're old enough, but it's like you can't hide them from it.
No.
Right. We can't. And even my kids being, like are noticeably, when you see them, they're mixed. There's a lot of the Asian in them. So when COVID and was, luckily they didn't go through it, but we had those conversations about the Asian hate, and you might get people saying, "Hey, you caused COVID. You caused it because some orange guy said it was okay to say that." You know what I mean? So we have those open conversations about everything that's going on because they need to know, and they're old enough. I mean, shit. My son's playing video games like Call of Duty. Like I'm like, these are things like
we talking craziness on there,
right? Yeah, right. So I think because we make it. We're like open book. We had this conversation last night at dinner, and I said, and our daughter knows, and that because it's her first year of high school. We're like, doesn't matter what it is. You like she tells us everything, and it's a joke because she'll come home from school and she's like, "Daddy, I got tea." I'm like, "Oh shit, all right. What's this girl doing or what? What's this girl saying about her?" So I sit with her. And she's like, "Should we leave it for dinner when mommy comes home?" I'm like, "All right." Well, I'm like, no, tell me now, and then you can fill mommy in after, right? Don't worry about it. But it's that open relationship.
And
so
my brother's a gossiper. He loves it, man.
It's part of my DNA.
Get him going, shit, man.
It's Italian DNA. We like the gossip, bro. Come on.
Well, how forthcoming are you guys if they asking you like, "Hey, Dad, have you done X, Y, and Z? Have you done any of this stuff before?" Like, because we've talked about this before amongst ourselves, and it's like that fine line of like you don't want to lie to your kids, but at a certain age, but it's also like they could skew it as like, well, you did this and you turned out okay. So I'm always curious. Like,
I think like now that they're older, we have, like I said, like we were going back to earlier, like when you start, when you're like, when you put in the work when they're younger, now that they're this age, and it's just like, that,
can I say that? Yeah. I joke with my nieces all the time because I met my wife. I was young. I was 19, right? And she was 18. I was going on 20. So, but I'm December baby, so I'm late. But we would, I had a little makeshift studio in our parents' house back then, and she would get together on the weekends. And before Adrian met his wonderful wife, my amazing sister-in-law, Adrian would have different girl every weekend.
Why you gotta do me like that, man? What a fun.
So sometimes with my nieces, I'm like, "Oh, y'all weren't around when your dad don't want to be a player. Want to be a player." And they're like, "Oh shit, Dad! Oh really? Oh." He's like, "No. I was an angel.
A good Catholic, a good Italian Roman Catholic."
And then the thing was, You want to hear some beats, girls? Like,
yeah.
Back in the day. Well, we all did it.
You try to incriminate me now, this guy. Come on, man.
No, it's all good.
So you mentioned you guys have a really dope relationship with your parents. I'm curious, like specifically your pops, right? How has he influenced, whether in a positive light or in a negative light, like based on how he brought you guys up? Are there things from that experience that you shy away from that have maybe empowered you guys to be better parents, or vice versa, have been really good that you've borrowed for your own parenting?
You know what, guys? Like, I have to say, man, like,
we're lucky.
Yeah, every family thinks they're unique, but like, we're really, really lucky. Like, our parents were like both born in Italy. Mom came when she was like 8 months old. Dad came when he was 16. My mom always loved, for lack of a better description, Black culture, Black music. You know, there's a radio station in Buffalo called WBLK. And before Toronto started getting hip hop stations, you could get it clearly. You know, it used to be called The Hound. And then my mom got my dad into all that music. And then they got us into that. And my dad our dad would come every Friday. He'd go to a record store, Monica's.
He's a hairdresser.
He's a hairdresser. So he'd go get like at Monica's, you can get more like the black hair product. So he'd go to Monica's.
It was a Jamaican area.
Jamaican, and she's Jamaican. She was like a reggae singer in Jamaica. But we'd go there, and so it's like we saw our dad like bringing home records, dancing to Prince, dancing to Roger and Zapp, dancing to like, all this shit. And then all the opportunities that he created, like, guys, my dad comes from like 10 brothers and sisters. He said, if like 6 of them slept in the same bed, one of them pissed, at least they were warm for 7 minutes with the piss, And so like our dad really, like we've talked about this before, like our parents are like, really, it sounds funny. Even at this day, like they're our heroes, man, because it's like, they always show, and our dad, the same thing, being a hairstylist, he worked in an area called Yorkville, which would be like the equivalent in like, I don't know, like a Rodeo Drive or like an Ocean, not an Ocean Drive. Shit, I know that area in Miami. I forget the area.
Lincoln Road or something. Or
yes. But he had opportunities to go start his own thing in Paris and shit. But he's like, if I do that, what's going to happen to the family? So I think
that's deep rooted in why
you didn't really realize it when you were a kid, but that was programmed into us. It's just a different business doing music.
And they also were the reason why we did music, because back in the day before, like now we have the Budweiser stage in Toronto where all the big acts go, like outdoor event. It used to be called the Forum. It was a revolving stage. And you used to pay like $10, $15, and it was like first come, first serve seats. So we'd go in the early afternoon, and my parents would take one of us to like some of the water slides and shit. But then they're like, come 7 o'clock, we're watching the concert. So our first concert was like James Brown, Sugar Khan, Ray Charles in concert, the
Smokey Robinson,
the Commodores, and then we worked with the Commodores like 30 years later.
Yeah,
with Clyde
Walter,
and this was like our
that's our upbringing.
This was our upbringing. So I was like, like I had James Brown on the wall as a poster. I didn't have Led Zeppelin or Rolling Stones.
Yeah, like all of our heroes growing up, other than our parents, we didn't look at them as heroes when we were kids. Now you do. But like everybody on our wall, guys, like it was all black athletes, black entertainers, rappers, musicians. It's like that's who we wanted to. We didn't want to be Wayne Gretzky, man. We wanted to be Eric B. and Rakim. We wanted to be James Brown. We wanted to be friggin' Zapp and Roger. Like these are the people that we wanted a New Edition. Like these are the people we wanted to be growing up, and all through our parents, because they introduced us to the gift of music, and they introduced us to black music, because half these kids in this Italian neighborhood, they didn't know half the shit. We were coming back from Florida, from Specs, with cassettes, watching the jukebox, watching all this shit that they didn't even know half the...
I'm like, did you hear that new song from so-and-so? They're like, who? You didn't hear that new song?
They didn't know who the hell DJ Laz was, and Mommy, they didn't know. Like,
it's crazy because Manny had posters of Boy George in his room, so it's totally different.
Yeah, I did.
It's right here. He still got it on his ceiling. It's a little sticky.
But now it's
Manny, he's doing it.
Now as adults and as parents, you can appreciate the musical sounds of that song.
Oh shit!
I'm clowning, but I got vinyl of Boy George 100%. I got vinyl.
Right? It's like when we were kids. I'm like, if you said New Kids on the Block, I'm like, take that shit off. Yeah. Now I'm like, please don't go.
Yeah, no, they sound good now. It's weird, right?
Yo, my kids are all into that shit. Like they NKTB all the time now, and I'm like,
really?
You don't even know what the fuck that stands for.
Wow.
And they're like, yeah, I do.
How do they stumble
sound like
on
a
that?
hardcore boy band compared to
I have to say, God, like, but my kids love hip hop. My oldest loves a little bit of everything, but my youngest is like, she's listening. I go into her room and she's doing this, and she's listening. Like, it's just incredible, like watching your kids, what they listen to.
Well, I joke. So, that Menendez show came out on Netflix.
Yeah.
So my daughter was all into Milli Vanilli for like months. And I'm like, if you think about it, they deserve their Grammy back, because everybody now fake sings.
Yeah,
right.
They tell you to sing.
The one dude, he
committed
suicide, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fucked up story, man.
Oh my God! But I'm like, they should, he at least the other guy,
the other dude, like learned how to sing. He actually sounds decent.
I heard him in Germany at some YouTube clip. He was singing Girl, you know what's true. And he actually sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they got done dirty for sure.
He did.
And we were all there with the jokes. I remember when that shit hit, the jokes were all over the place.
Artists today don't know that feeling of like your DAT machine friggin' skipping on stage.
Nah, they wouldn't know that.
Right? Or like, and then you went to CD because you thought CDs were better. And that shit skipped. As soon as there was a little bit of sub.
CDs were worse. Yeah, CDs were definitely worse.
A little bit of sub in that. You'd be on stage going, oh shit, what's happened? What happened here?
Yeah.
Yo, before we wrap, I do want to talk about, I know you guys got a new project out with Doodlebug.
Yes.
That's dope. And I heard the joint is dope.
It's ill.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really like
good project, guys.
Can you tell us how did this come about? How did you and Doodlebug get together? I know he got a whole bunch of AKAs, so I'm not even sure which one to use.
Yeah. Doodlebug, aka CK7, aka C Knowledge. Yeah, man. So like, I'll try to do it as quick as possible, man. So 15 years ago, MySpace maybe even longer, reached out to him on MySpace. Yo, let's do a track. He was in Toronto doing a show or something. Like, fellas, let's meet. My hotel or the videos, yada, 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 ba, ba, ba. So we meet in Little Italy, Little Italy. So we met in Little Italy literally for a cappuccino, espresso, fucking so Italian. We're fucking espresso, fellas. And then we did this record
called Amore.
And the record we never did anything. And then, just kept in touch over the years, Facebook, all this shit. And then during COVID, it's like, yo, fellas, whatever happened to that record? I see you guys are hustling. You keep putting out albums, all this shit. And we're like, yo, like Luke will try to find it on one of the many hard drives. And then we just said, yo, why don't we do a project? And like 4 songs turned into 11 songs. And then we just hit up Fat Beats. Shout out to like Chris Atlas and the whole team at Fat Beats, Kayapa. And they're like, yo, fellas, we love it. Let's do a thing. And then
what's cool is
then a Galactic Love Supreme is born.
Oh, dope. So it's out through Fat Beats. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And what's cool about it is that like the Amore song it's probably 17 years old. Yeah. The song. And I said, I feel like we got to put it on there. And I just remixed.
I was like, nah, man. It's just like, I don't know.
I remixed it. We got live bass. Shout out to Tugboat. He's a bass player for Diggable Planets. And what's dope too with the album, we have Shabazz on it, Butterfly. Yep. And they haven't been on a record together in 25 years since Blowout. Wow. So it's cool for Adrian and I that started as fans, and now C is like a close friend of ours. He's like family. But to have
no bullshit, we bought their CD at a Specs
in '93
in Key Largo. I don't know. Our parents, we were going on a family vacation with cousins down there.
Hella south in Florida.
So we were like down, like getting to Isla Morada area. There was like one Specs by a Windeck Dixie. And I'm like, we worked at like a place that would be the equivalent of like a Busch Gardens. It's called Canada's Wonderland in Canada. So, we had some, you'd go to the bank, take out your cash. And I bought the CD Diggable Planets. And then like 20 years later, 30 years later, whatever, like we have this project with C, man. And he's such an incredible guy. Like he's got an incredible, he's the juggler of all jugglers with his family. And it's so cool. Like everyone who's on this album, it's people that we've either just met, who feels like we've known forever, or dudes like Bone Crusher. We've been friends with Bone Crusher for just as long as Doodlebug. Like Bone Crusher has been to our house. We've been in his crib in Atlanta. He's on the album. King Crooked's on the album. We've been friends with for years. So it's like everyone who's in it just kind of was meant to be on it.
Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah. I've listened to it a couple times already. And I plan on doing some more. I was on a long ass trip to Hawaii, and I got a chance to like really sit with it for a little while and really got to listen deeply, right? And it was really dope. That style of rap for me is like it's that dope eclectic mix that really hits home. So you guys did a great job.
Thank you. And like we're at a stage in our life too. Like, and not to say that we don't do records that are a little bit more like, have a little bit of thug in it, but like we also wanted to do something like at the end of the day where it's like we could sit with our kids and we don't have to say, oh shit, fuck, I'm saying this and this part. Because we have records like that, and my daughters look at me like, Dad, like, come on, like you're being a dumb dad. Like but like with this, I don't feel like we got to do on any part.
I think what's going on right now in the world, it called for this type of music too.
This is a good music to smoke to drink to chill to vibe to drive to.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's a break from a lot of the noise because there's a lot of noise going on in so many different realms. So this is kind of like it's a little bit of musical escapism. And and like after we completed it subconsciously, but people hitting us up like, yo, this is like a nice break. And we're like, oh shit, word. We did our job, I think, you know, the three of us collectively.
Dope.
No, it's dope.
That's dope.
I put it on par with that new Smith and Wesson Infinity album, like vibe wise. You know, I was telling them like the vibe is like it's smooth, it's chill. They got some lyrics in there thugging it a little bit, but for the most part, it's a chill vibe.
I love that new record, the Medina record.
Yeah, Medina.
No, that's crazy.
You know, funny speaking, like that track, I pulled up to my son's soccer practice, and I'm like, when you see the other team, you just put Medina on really loud, la 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 la, and just start pointing to the other kids. You'd be like, whoa, what's going on?
No, but thank you for that, man, for that, like, you know what I mean, that comparison. That's like, you know, if we're being put in that same umbrella, like that's a great thing, man. So we feel like we've done our job.
You guys did a great job, and Doodlebug sounds amazing. Like he hasn't skipped a beat. You know, it sounds really dope.
And we're working on part 2 as well.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, dope. So I'd love for you guys, if you could, like, to other dads out there, right? If you could speak to other dads, what's like the biggest piece of advice you would give them?
I think for me, like be in your kid's life, be present. You know, I think that's the biggest reward in life is being there for your children. You know, like and not for Instagram, not for social media, like that one pic a year on Father's Day or your kid's birthday, and then 364 days you're gone, because you know, before you know it, and I'm seeing it, I'm sure we all see it. Yeah. Those Facebook memories or whatever, if you're on iPhone or Android, the memories pop up when they were 5 and they couldn't really talk yet, or they're doing, and you start like getting emotional. And I'm like, it's, you know, it's cliche, but a blink of an eye, it's gone. And then like you got one almost done her first year of university. My daughter's in her first year of high school. Before you know it, they're out the door, living their own lives, or don't need us as much as they used to.
I think my thing would be invest in them and invest in experiences, because, you know, clothes come and go, shoes come and go, phones come and go, but the kids, they don't remember what phone you got them. 10, 20 years down the stretch, they're going to remember, shit, dad didn't have a lot, but he took us to that little cottage, or he took us to that little shit. There's plenty of like alley, like we live up the street from an area where there's all these, like, you know, they change the graffiti every little while when St. Catherine's off St. Paul's. If you don't have $50 or $100 to go to an art gallery, take your kids down that alley and take it and talk about shit, and then just go get a grilled cheese. Like, invest in experiences, because kids remember the things that you don't think they remember. They're like, Dad, remember we went here, and then at the gas station, then you didn't have enough thing. And then I'm like, you remember that?
Yeah.
Invest in experiences with your kids, because honestly, that is the investment. Because you know what? We I hate to say it, the circle of life, man. It, you know, like what comes around goes around, and there's going to be a point where, you know, we're a little older and we're like, shit, we want our kids to be in our life, and we want to see our grandkids, you know. And I feel that, like, you know, we're paying it forward. So when we're older, we're going to have our kids in our lives. We're going to know they're not going to say, like Italians go like this, because they're like, that was a good echo.
I could sample that.
No, but because you guys weren't around, so you know what? Yeah. That, like, so it's like, I think invest in experience, invest in your children, like the time with them, man. Because we can get money back. You can't get time back, man. Money, we lose money, we make money, but shit, you can't get that back, the time. The bags under my eyes are proof of that.
No, that's real shit.
Bars. Yeah.
Oh, thank you guys for joining. Well, by the way, real quick, that logo, Lucas, on your shirt, does that have anything to do with Silverhawks?
No. So this, this actually is like, because of our background, like Roman, Italian blood. We have Roman blood, so it has the kind of the Roman-esque. But I was also a nerd. Do you remember a show, Captain Power? Anybody? Captain Power? The soldiers of the future. Might have been only 80. Anyways, these guys that would like go
like a sci-fi shit,
and they go power on, and they get these like super suits all of a sudden. And it was like a bird, kind of like a futuristic bird. And I saw, so it is nerdy. So
that's the logo for the 80Empire.
Oh, that's our 80Empire.
Like, we did 80 because we're like, people are not going to know. AD, but like I love history and antiques and vintage. I'm the analog character, so the A,
And I'm the digital.
he's the D. So AD, like, before Christ, AD, after dead, right? But analog, digital, empire. But we just like
we
80.
We went 80.
80.
And we're kids of the 80s.
And we grew up in the 80s, you know what I mean? So it's just like,
it just reminded me
love
of
the energy, guys.
Yeah, it reminded 100%. Me of the Silverhawks bird. So it's funny you said that.
It totally does.
Dope. All right, gentlemen. Yo, thank you so much. Best of luck on this project and the ones you guys got coming out. Please hit us up anytime, man. And any life things going on with your kids, like we'd love to share those, stories with our audience. So let us know.
Absolutely, we'd love to. Thanks for having us. Yes, guys. Honestly, thank you.
All right, fellas, man. Salute.
Take care.
Thank you, fellas.